This is the music judge and jury, aka Queen Millennium. And yes, today we're here to talk about the queen herself, Brandy. My favorite, your favorite. We're about to get into it, honey, because I got some things to talk about. But anyway, before we get into the meat and potatoes, as usual, a word. Living is more powerful once you are actually and totally in tune with your own body. I don't think you heard me. Life is more powerful. Your living is more powerful when you are completely in tune with your own body. You see, most people are not in tune with their own bodies. They're too busy out here. Okay, it's because these two things face out this way. But the eyes are actually deceptive. If you were to close them, like somebody that's actually blind, where do you actually go? You're still there. It's just that there's no quote unquote vision present. Because what we are is far more complex than what these eyes can show us, which is very limited. So the more you're in tune with the whole organization, the more powerful you really become. And you'll stop taking you'll stop taking shit for everybody else outside of you, and you'll prioritize your own body first and foremost. This is It's That Girl or It's Not That Girl. Now, I'm Lena, the workhorse, and on this show, we talk about popular music and popular artists from today, yesterday, and beyond. Now, we're here to talk about Brandy, the rise, the fall, and the missteps of the music career. Okay, but we're going to talk about everything from the acting and all the things that she was doing simultaneously. Okay, so go ahead and relax, get your popcorn, get your chips, your Marlowe, I don't know, whatever your snacks, because this is It's That Girl or It's Not That Girl. Let's talk. Welcome back into It's That Girl or It's Not That Girl. See, I'm Peyton 3.0, the artist, the musician, the entertainer, not the content creator, not the YouTuber, and not the influencer. Now, as I say, those are great platforms and tools to build that brand, that business, name, reputation, but most importantly, the community. And hopefully you will join this community today by hitting that like button and sharing people that you know, like artists, commentary, reaction, and reviews. And of course, to become a part of this community here, you got to do 3 things. You got to comment, you have to subscribe, you have to hit the notification bell for more, right? And I'm not just saying these things, these are the things that are important to whether each video gets pushed further to people according to the algorithm. If most people are not taking an action, well, it doesn't have anything to go off of except for that you watched the video. but there was no engagement. So engage, okay? Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. Now, Brandy was actually born at the very tail end of Gen X, okay, right on the cusp of millennium. Okay, so technically, she would be considered, I guess, an exennial, a zillennial, even though that title was taken by people who are on the cusp of millennial, you know, right before Gen Z hits. But anyway, I'm going to consider her an honorable millennial, okay? But anyway, Brandy's career starts off very, very well in the recording industry. Okay, she had her mother, who was a bulldog, to make sure that she wasn't being taken advantage of in the trucking industry. She had her father. She had a very great foundation. And her mother and father crafted a very particular brand for her. Squeaky clean, America's princess, America's black princess, right? The girl next door type of whatever. But the thing with that is when you people do that, it doesn't do you or that person or the brand any favors, because that stuff doesn't exist. There's no such thing as perfection when it comes to humans. Heck, there's not even any such thing as perfection when it comes to nature. Okay? But so that was already setting Brandy up for a downfall for when something did happen where it was in the public eye, unfortunately, and it was just media frenzy, right? But anyway, she dropped that first album. The GP went crazy, aka general public. The label was pushing her stuff, right? Because at first she had to go through the whole demo and people not believing in her gift, but somebody did, and then she started taking off. So that first album was very pivotal in her career. So she did very, very well. The craft of the sound that was just unique enough but familiar enough that it had its own identity, which belonged to Brandy. But the next album would be the album, honey, that would really solidify her in the culture, which would be, excuse me, anyway, sorry, something is happening inside of here. But anyway, the second album, the sophomore effort, which again, at least around this time in this particular music industry time, that sophomore album was a true test. Could you do as many numbers as that first album if it did really, really well, or do better numbers, right? Could it be bigger? So the second album was even bigger than the first. So she got really, really, I wouldn't say lucky. I would say she just had some very good people in her corner. I don't understand why I'm also blanking. Okay, that's it. Never say never with the explosive duet lead single, The Boy Is Mine. Okay, we don't need to talk about how explosive, how discourse this was at that time, before discourse and Discord was even a thing. Okay, but many tabloids published things, try to put the singers against each other. The labels wanted to play it up because anything to get the attention, and the dollars rolling, right? That was their game. And so they created this rift between the girls that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Okay? But anyway, the album did very, very well. Now, the third album will be a pivotal point in Brandy's career. 2002, Full Moon. Listen, I had my mama buy every single album because I wasn't able to work. I'm just a little bit younger than Brandy, right? So I wasn't able to work. So I asked my mom to buy all the albums. I was a super fan. I'm still a super fan today. Oh yes. I love going back to Brandy's body of work from beginning to the end. It's that good, every single song. How many artists can accomplish that over many album releases if they were even that lucky? Anyway, so she drops the first single, the title track, Full Moon, and people were actually no. I think actually, What About Us was the first single, and it was this riskier R&B electro type sound, dropped on BET 106 in Park. And people had mixed reactions and reviews about it. But this album will become eventually the album that people would mention, a pivotal album in her career still to this day, that people praise, especially her stars, her core super fans. Yeah, this is their album. This album I love personally because it was on a riskier, edgier side of electronic and R&B fusion, led by Timberland, Ronnie Jerkins. Just absolutely stunning. The girl just keeps upping herself. It's the third album, but she's still killing it in the GP. But this is where things also will start to get shaky. In this picture perfect, branding, okay? Actually, to my opinion, because she was filming back to back. She was doing movies. She was doing Moesha that had already ended before the album dropped, but people had already started pinning her as Moesha in real life, so the cracks actually started to show back then. But they really showed when she was just in her identity, Brandy, around this time, because she had a baby and she had to hurry up and lie and say that she was in love. She was married to, what was it, the cousin of Ronnie Jerkins or whatever, Robert Smith, to lie about a marriage. So that was the first crack, okay? And eventually the lie would come down. It'll be found out. And so that was the first chink in the armor of this brand that should have never been about America's America's princess, Black princess, America's good girl next door, whatever. Like, it seemed like her parents wanted to make her like the pivotal Black girl that was different from the ghetto around the way girls. But Brandy, honestly, Brandy was never that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brandy was always the around the way ghetto girl anyway. So, right? Okay. And so, as the years went on, after that, you got this fourth album, Aphrodisiac. But even though it appeared on the top of the charts, that doesn't always tell the full story, because this was the least selling album of all four albums, okay? And to me, sonically, she just kept upping herself. She just kept upping the ante. Okay, but it just didn't get the amount of attention from the GP that it deserved, right? She talked about some things in the fake marriage on this album, right? Gave the ring back and all that when there was no ring in the first place. Because at the time, her secrets about this faux marriage were still intact. Then you fast forward. I forget what year this exactly is, but we all know what happened with this whole car crash, right? And we all should know by now that the media wanted to spin it in a way that they were saying that Brandy took somebody's life when it was much more complicated than that. Okay? That it was much more complicated than that. Excuse me, let me check something real quick on my channel. Making sure I ain't double dipping. Okay, great. Like, for example, allegedly, I don't know if I'm saying this woman's name right, Awataf Abudahaj, okay, apparently hit somebody first in front of her, so she came to a stop, and Brandy didn't respond fast enough to stop her brakes too, you know. So she ended up smashing into the back of the car, but obviously it was fatal because the woman, well, she didn't make it, right? And that was still with Brandy for years, right? Years. But that's the thing. That's just the thing about life. You never know. Because we're not in control of life. We're not in control of life like they would lie to us. You never know what could end up just effing up your whole entire mentals. Right? And unfortunately, this is that thing that totally screwed Brandy up in her mentals, because even if it wasn't her fault, somebody lost life in the process. And she was involved in it. Period. Not voluntarily, but she was involved. Right? But anyway, fast forward to 2008 when her gorgeous, beautiful album that made me cry, Human, was dropped. And the album was inspired by the lady whose life was stolen, unfortunately. Awatwaf, I'm probably saying that wrong, Abudahaj. Okay, just the type of songs that were written on there. Absolutely stunning. Her best work, her whole career. But the album went largely unnoticed as people could only focus on the accident. People only focus on that she had pulled out of America's Got Talent. And so, unfortunately, this tarnished her reputation. And I'll say this again, that it doesn't matter about the great things you do, how talented you are. When your reputation takes a hit, everything goes out the window. Everything. And you gotta hope to greatness that you can repair eventually. You give people time, you disappear, and then you come back hoping that they're ready to listen. Some things you just can't come back from. Now, that was her lowest, unfortunately, performing album of her career. Even though it was the best sonically, artistically, and got to the heart of you, in my opinion. She was strangely doing the TV show Family Business with her and her family on a reality show, blamed Rodney for the failure of the album and told him that wasn't great. But I thought she had lost her mind. I said, are you kidding me? No, the reason for that album's failure was because of your reputation. Okay? Now, girl, I love you. Well, we gotta be real with ourselves. Your reputation is the reason why that album tanked. Okay? And so things wouldn't really get that much better from here, but this is also the turning point where we're getting to the next decade, 2010s. And this is where she would start to ask her mother for more control, like to, there's a thing for my whole career. I'm a grown woman now. I understand the business, right? That I don't need you to fight my battles anymore. I don't need you to do this and that. I got this. All right, Sonia had to let her daughter do what she needed to do. And so she did, but Brandy will get a rude awakening after letting her mother go from the business affairs of her life, because one of the biggest uh-ohs was when she signed, when she was ready to come back for her next album, in 2010 she had signed with these Chameleon Records, okay, but she signed a botched deal. She signed a deal that most standard artists get, and I'm not sure, you think about this time of the game, she would have her own lawyers read this over, right? You would think by the time, a veteran in the game, that she would have the lawyers, her own lawyers, read this over. But there's no way that she could have had that done, because there should be no reason why she was in a botched career, and allegedly she had signed a 360 deal. And this is the time where 360 deals were really becoming the standard for the new era of the music industry. Okay? And so this is when she was in hot water. She's fighting again. She's angry. And she's got to clean up her mess. This is the time when, like, the next album, the sixth one, 211, which, although a lot of us thought this was her comeback, like, it was strong, it wasn't really the comeback that it should have been. Great music again on this album. She takes herself up another notch again, but the numbers don't show it. The GP's attention and the promotion doesn't show it. She was already in a pickle with the deal that she signed, so they were against her. And Brandy was becoming to the realization of how hard this really was without the right people in your corner to fight your battles, okay, while you focus on what it is that you need to do, which is the art, the writing, the music, the creation, the art. And she had that down pat with her mother. So it didn't get any lovelier after that, because when you are a huge star or you're rich and people know it, you have, and you're doing really, really, really well in life, you have a huge target on your back. And remember, the Divided States of America, okay, the DSA, this country is a sue happy country, okay? And they know you got the money, you got the richest, they gonna sue you. So the housekeeper, as soon as she was let go, she claimed it's because of old age, allegedly by Brandy, she got the suing, okay? And then somebody else sued her. And then somebody sued her and her hairstylist. So she was having all these lawsuits coming at her, you know? And because the right protection and defense wasn't there like it was when she had her mother doing that work, Brandy will begin to find out just how ugly things can get and dark things can get really fast. And was she mentally equipped to really, was she ready to handle all this like she thought she was? Did she know how to hire the right team of people if she didn't want her family and mother involved in the business anymore for her to win and be protected? Well, it seems the answer to that was no. Okay? No. And so eventually she would get away from that deal at least, and she would go independent. Okay? And hopefully she learned her lesson, because this is the time in the era in which you can go independent yourself, get you a small team, you already have a name, you're that girl, you can rebuild and revive like a Mariah Carey with the emancipation of Mimi. Okay? You can have that moment. Because you already have a fan base, a super fan base you call stars, already there, already waiting. You're not starting from scratch. You're not a no-name person artist like me. You're not starting from scratch with no audience in there like me. You are Brandy, right? So it's time for her to get wise, and get wise quick. Okay? So she got that small team, and she started her own label, and she released one of her most pivotal albums, in my opinion, of her career. Whether it did really well with the general public or not, it did really well with the stars, her super fans, which was B7. Artistically more avant-garde, because that's what she wanted. She wanted to play with more sounds, more combinations, more fusions that weren't strictly R&B. She wanted to cut her outside the lines. She wanted to get outside the box. And that she did. That she did. And what an album B7 really is. Oh yes. Oh yes. That's the album. In my opinion, sonically, as an artist, creator myself, B7 is the best album in Brandy's discography. Oh yes. Oh yes. For many reasons. That's the one. She just kept getting better and better and better and better and better and better, better and better. Forget the GP, forget the numbers, forget the charts. I'll talk about the artistry. Forget the drama. I'm talking about the music. And that's why she's a body of work I continue to go to again and again and again, because it's exceptional despite the trials and tribulations. We are all going or have had trials and tribulation, and nobody is exempt from them. This has been the amazing story told through my eyes, my lens of Miss Brandy Norwood, the Queen. And I am Peyton 3.0, the artist, the musician, the entertainer, not the content creator, not the YouTuber, and not the influencer. If you got your entire life today, then please hit that like button and share people that you know that like artist commentary, reaction, and reviews. And to truly become a part of this community here, you've got to do 3 things. You got to comment, subscribe, and notification bell. All right, well, this is the bonus segment. I told you that I was a musician, artist, entertainer, right? So we're going to do that right now. Blood pressure, you worked all day at the messenger. Worked so hard on the bills are high. All you do is cry, make a freaking try. Punch that clock every freaking day. Still on the money you got to pay. Forget that man need relief. For you got in the street for the freaking cheap. Some take care of the freaking kids. Once you play for your freaking lit. Stress too much within the rush. Shouldn't even brush. You're feeling flush. What is it that you're gonna do? Gotta have some good relief in you. Time to get out when the music plays every freaking day. All I got to say is jump. And now, the song.
I know you're out there looking for a stress reliever.
You're looking for a stress reliever out there.
Drugs, the alcohol,
Here we
the
go.
food. But let me tell you what you need to do. Here we go. Blood pressure, you worked all day like the messenger. Work so hard that the bills are high. All you do is cry me a freaking try. Punch that clock every freaking day. Still on your money, you got to pay. Fuck that shit, man, you need relief. But you got is free for the fucking cheap. Some take care of the freaking kids. Munch your plate for your freaking lid. Stress too much, always in no rush. You need even brush, you're feeling flush. What is it that you're gonna do? Gonna have some good relief in you. Time to get out when the music plays every freaking day. All I gotta say is jump, turn that music loud. I wanna see no hands in the crowd. You gotta get it turned up, get it turned up, get it turned up, get it turned up. Lose your mind to the beat. Shake it up, keep moving your feet. You gotta get it turned up, get it turned up, get it turned up, get it turned up. Get the stress.
And that is all I will be giving you, okay? Anyway, if you want to hear that song in its entirety, then comment in the comment section. You ready? Let me hear that song. And I most certainly will, absolutely for free, okay? Now, let's get back into our regularly scheduled program. I miss you like crazy. I miss you being my baby. Tell me when you're coming back home. I miss you like crazy. I miss you being my baby. Tell me when you're coming back home. Oh. I want to thank you so much for being here today and staying to the end. Yeah, you rock. Now, if you got your entire life today, honey, then why don't you go ahead and watch this next video on the screen, okay? I'll see you over there. Bye-bye.